Hey everyone, welcome to the CircWorks broadcast or live stream. I was almost going to draw with my tablet stylus, which wouldn't work very well. Okay, so I don't know if I should wait a little bit for people to log on and everything before. I guess I can start because the first part of this you're probably not even going to see because I draw with this real light blue pencil. So. Um, So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to draw Bolin, and I'll probably throw in Pabu as well from Legend of Korra. And this is for a contest through my Facebook page, and I do contests every, or I will be doing them more often, hopefully. So anyway, I'm sure most people that are on here are following me on my Facebook anyway, but it's Facebook/Circworks SERKWORKS. And I guess I should get sketching. This is going to be a pen and ink sketch. So I think I said 5 by 7, but I'm actually going to do these a little bigger because I want to get some better detail on them. So I'm going to do them at about like 8 by 10 or 8.5 by 11, which I don't think the contest winners are kind of going to complain if they get a little bigger prize. So, all right. So here we go. Can everyone hear me in the chat? I just want to make sure the audio is working and everything. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is gesture drawing. I'm going to start. You're not going to be able to see much of this. I usually start with the head and the spine, and the spine's kind of where I get all the the motion and the movement, and then I'll go in. I'll draw the hips, and once I know where that is, then I can kind of start building everything else with lines. I'll usually start with kind of like stick figure lines, and then I start building them out with cylinders, which you've probably seen before. But it's if you break everything into the body into geometric shapes, it's a little easier to wrap your head around, and it's kind of tough to do that in the beginning. But let's see. It's helpful if you have one of these guys. I don't know if you can see that. One of these little articulated mannequins. I mean, once you kind of learn these kind of little shapes as the body, then you can kind of start to build your figures. And this isn't so much a tutorial on how to do this because I'm going to kind of blast through this because I got to get it done. But I'll try to add a few things or answer questions if anyone has any. All right. And I'll try to answer questions in the chat too, but I also have to kind of focus on the artwork and everything. So right now I'm just working on the body. I'm going to have, let's see. This kind of sucks because you can't see yet, but I'm going to try to blast through this gesture pretty quick so you can kind of start seeing the the figure before I start inking it and everything. Working on the hand. Let's see. If I hold it a little closer up to the camera, you can kind of see a little bit. Not much. How did they win the contest? I posted. I think I posted. I just did a post, and I said if you follow or if you share the post or comment on the post, then you're entered into a drawing, and they did, and they got picked. So that's how you do it. And hopefully, I'll be doing more of these. I want to do I want to do some more live casts, and I'm going to do the Apollo Knox one next week, I think. The content is basically it was just a post. Like I forgot exactly what I put, but it was just like, hey, I posted something and I said share this. Okay. I get so used to these blue pencils, and I apologize, but it's almost like you get used to a certain art tool and you don't want to draw with anything else. And unfortunately, they don't pick up very well, but um, I assure you there's actually work being done right now. And then hopefully it won't be too long before I can start inking it, or maybe even drawing a little darker, pressing a little harder with the blue. I just don't want it to when you're first doing all your sketching in your lines, you want it to do it fairly light, or at least I do, just in case because the one unfortunate things about the blue pencils, they don't erase as well as a regular pencil. But the whole idea is that they don't really photograph. Like if you scan one of these in, you can just eliminate like a blue channel in Photoshop and not have to worry about your sketches. But you'll be able to see a little bit of the blue like in the actual sketch, which I kind of like, because you can kind of see the blue pencil lines underneath the ink, and it kind of shows you what how the artwork was created. So basically what he's going to be doing is he's going to be kind of blasting through like a pile of rocks, moving rocks, earth bending some rocks, but he's kind of flying in the air. I don't know if you can see that yet. This is a great character, by the way. If there's anyone who hasn't seen Legend of Korra or Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, you really need to check it out. Yeah, there's a lot of, there's a lot of things with the Ustream I'm not crazy about. I really wanted to use Google Plus, but Google Plus doesn't really have a public chat feature. Can you see it a little bit? This is his head. His arm's coming down here. His other arm's kind of back up here. Yeah, unfortunately there's no real like comments on here, but you could type I like it. That's what I was thinking of doing when I was trying to use, because you can with Google Hangouts you can broadcast, like I think live to YouTube. So I was thinking, well, people could maybe just post comments on the YouTube, but it's not really the same as the chat. So unfortunately, when I kind of that's why it took so long to decide on something, because once you decide on something, you don't want a bunch of people to like start following you on something and then have to move your broadcast somewhere else. Kind of drawing in some of his facial features here. He's usually a pretty happy guy, so I think even though he's kind of busting through some rocks, I think he's going to be smiling while he's doing it. If you can see that. His leg coming out here. I'm gonna have to, I've got my iPad over here that I'm gonna look at reference, because I don't remember exactly how his clothing worked. So here we go. Okay. Just kind of got things here. You can see now? Cool. Yeah, it takes a little while. I'm trying to press a little darker, you know. Oh, my monitor just fell asleep. Yeah. Can't see the chat when my monitor goes black, so. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me when they earthbend, do they usually have their fists closed or do they have their hands like palms open? Or does it matter? Maybe they have different effects depending on what they're bending, or I don't know. His belt. I have his belt kind of trailing off since he's kind of flying in the air. So I have the little, I don't know what you call it, where the belt hangs over. It's kind of like a karate style belt that would normally hang down if he was just standing there. But since he's jumping up in the air, it's going to be flying back. Just that kind of helps give him some motion. All right, let's see. Draws. He's kind of got some big eyebrows. Draw those in there. I think I like him. He's kind of got the Superman curl that hangs down. Of course, in the new movie, they got rid of the curl. I guess he's not allowed to have red underwear or curls in his hair. It's just not cool enough, evidently. Which, that's a whole nother story. I'll kind of whip some of his hair up too, like it's kind of flying back. I guess his hair's like that kind of all the time anyway. You see that? A little bit. Yeah, I always use references for drawing, and I would recommend anyone to use references. I mean, there's certain people that can draw stuff from memory, but you know, I can't do that. I can't remember what every single person's wearing or anything like that. Um, but you don't usually want to copy everything exactly. I mean, unless you're just learning. If you're just practicing and you're just starting off, then yeah, I mean, look at a pose and kind of copy it, and once you kind of learn how to do it, then then you can kind of figure, once you learn how the anatomy works and how to draw with construction lines and shapes and everything to build the body, then you can start making your own shapes. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with using reference. I mean, pretty much every artist I know uses reference. Now, there's sometimes, I mean, if I was an artist on, Avatar: The Last Airbender or something like that, and I was in charge of drawing Bolin or another character, you get so used to drawing that character that you don't need reference. I mean, if there's certain things that I draw over and over that I could probably draw from memory, but not everything's like that. So I always look. It's so great with. I mean, I'm an older guy, so I mean, they didn't always have Google image search, and I kept what's called a morgue, and basically just clippings of pictures from wherever I can find in magazines to use as a reference. But I got rid of that a while ago, because now anytime I have to find any kind of reference, you can just Google it. Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing, nothing. There. I've heard people say if you look at reference, you're cheating or something, but that's crazy to me. You know, every artist that I work with at every game studio or whatever I've been in, they all use references, and you don't, you can't know how to draw everything from memory. Or some people, if they do, they're, well, hats off to them. Okay, so you can hopefully kind of see the shape of them there. I'm gonna start um, roughing in some rocks and stuff that he can be blasting through. Let's see. Rocks can be fun to draw. There's I don't know if you guys are familiar with George Perez, but he was he's still around. He's an excellent artist, but he back when I was growing up, he was one of my favorite artists, and he drew like the coolest rocks. He illustrated a book called Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he did a lot of Teen Titans and stuff like that. But I always drew the coolest looking rocks. I don't know. So I try to do what he does, but I don't know if I do them as well. So he's going to kind of popping off over a hill, like he's jumping up from beyond this hill here. And now, let's see if we can't rough in Pabu here. Yeah, animals aren't my strong point, but so I'm definitely looking at reference right now while I'm doing him. I'm getting a little better at them. Again, and once you kind of can see how to break things into shapes, it's a lot easier. And maybe someday I can spend a little more time on how to do that. And there's a lot of excellent videos on the internet and YouTube on how to, draw, with gestures and shapes. Can't really see him, sorry. He's going to be like running up the mountain behind Bolin here. He's got a little, let me see if I can hold him up a little. Can you see him? Ah! All right, you can see a little bit, but I probably, maybe, I'm wondering if I shouldn't just do some of the drawings first before I start broadcasting, and then just do the inks where you could see it a little better. I'm sure this is boring for you guys because you can't really, it's not really coming across too clear on the camera. I gotta look at his face. I don't know where all the like rings around his eyes are and stuff. There we go. I'm gonna have to sharpen my pencil for one. Most of my comic book stuff that I work on is, I don't know if I'd call it manga because it's not really like that, but it is more cartoonish. My book deals, it's mostly has the main cast are all kids, so they're kind of the kids. I try to make them, kind of kid friendly, but then I have, they also are in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, so my zombies are really kind of grotesque and mean looking, and they look like zombies, and I kind of wanted that dichotomy because I want the kids to I think if the kids look a lot cuter, you'll have more empathy for them and everything, being in the middle of the situation. And oh, how are these nice looking kids going to get out of this? You know, fighting all these zombies and things like that. So I kind of like that dichotomy of cute versus, you know, more, I guess, realistic. I gotta find the right picture. Not too many pictures. I wanted him having with his mouth open, but I don't see too many pictures of that. Okay, let's see. This is it's kind of. I should be getting close to inking, so if you're getting bored of not being able to see this, shouldn't be too much longer before I start laying down some inks, and then you can really see. Now I'm wondering if he looks too scary with his mouth open. Uh, I might close his mouth. He's looking like he was a rabid fire ferret. Oh, I gotta do his tail. Almost forgot his tail. You can't have a fire ferret without a tail. You love zombies? Well, you might like my book. If you've ever seen the movie Goonies or Monster Squad, just imagine something like that, but with zombies instead of monsters or pirates. So I'm super excited about getting this second issue done because it explains a lot more what's going on, and I'm introducing some new characters that I really like. So all right. Okay. I gotta. I'm concentrating now. I know I'm not talking, which is so I gotta try to think of some stuff to say while I'm doing this, or else it's like there's nothing going on where you can't see much and can't hear much, and anyone that logs in is going to be like, what's going on here? There's nothing going on. All right. The genre, it's the genre for Young and the Dead. It's basically, if like I said, it's Goonies. It's like Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. So it takes place in the 80s, and it's kind of got the feel of those type of movies from the 80s, like oh, Goonies or E.T. or you know, any of those 80s movies. In the 80s there was just a slew of movies where kids were kind of the stars. They don't I guess the most current thing was probably what was sort of an ode to like those type of movies, which is Super 8. So if you've seen Super 8, it's kind of along those lines. And it's funny because I was writing and illustrating the first issue because it's been a while since I'm finally getting back to it. But I did that before Super 8 came out, and then when Super 8 came out, there were a few things in it. Just the fact that they were making a zombie movie, I was like, a lot of the ideas, that I had, they were using. But that happens, There's no such thing as an original idea. If you think of something cool, chances are somebody else might think of it too. So, all right. It's getting closer. I just want to add a little more detail in these rocks before I start inking them. Usually I'll pencil like really loose, and then when I get to the inks, that's when I start adding some detail. But since this is for someone else, I want to do a good job on it since you guys are watching. The loading thing. Let me know if the problem persists, and I might have to turn the quality down, which I don't really want to. That's why I try to do all these tests before I actually started doing this, because I wanted to get all the kinks out, but it might be more to it than that. Does anyone else have a problem with the picture loading? The question. Oh, I don't mind questions as long as I can. I'm right now. It's not too bad because there's not too many people in the chat. But like when I was at Broken Ball, well, we had people kind of picking questions out of the chat because there's so many people in there. But a good thing is I talked to the guys at Broken Ball because I was going to do this Apollo Knox thing, and they said that they were going to give me a little mention on their forum and everything that I was doing a live broadcast. And also, the other good thing that Miscrit fans will probably be excited is I had a Miscrit that I didn't get to finish when I was at Broken Bowl, so it's sitting there unfinished. I talked to guys over at Broken Bulb, and they said, yeah, if you want to, it'd be cool if you finish them up on your live stream. So I've got one last Miscrit that I'm going to finish up, and I will do that live probably maybe a couple weeks from now. And then I'll just kind of do it like a freelance thing and give that to Broken Bulb, and they'll put it in the game. So that would be my final Miscrit. Finally get to complete it. Because I don't know if you guys know, but I'm working for a different studio now, but I'm still on good terms with all those guys at Broken Bulb. Okay. Almost done with these rocks. We're doing on time. So about a half hour in, and I got most of it penciled. So all right. I think I'm going to change the eyes around. I kind of drew them like I draw eyes, but their eyes are a little bigger than I normally draw them. So. Yes, it is. It's the fire ant. You're right. You guys know Miscrits back and forth, don't you? That's the one. That's funny that you guys remembered that. The Miscrits experts. You guys know way more about Miscrits than even I do, even when I was full-time making Miscrits. I've seen a few of the new ones that Chris has been doing. They're amazing. So that was the thing about Google Hangouts. We might have to do some of those too, because with Google Hangouts, I can get more people on camera at once drawing. So I could even maybe call some of my friends, and we could do like an art jam and have all you guys either join in or just watch along while we draw. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick look at this reference here. I'll show you. So I got some pictures. That's what I'm looking at right now. Just I want to make sure I got kind of his costume correct. Costume's fairly simple, and it's kind of loose, which is good because you don't have to concentrate so much on the anatomy when you've kind of got a loose costume. Um, oh, I see. I don't know if you can see that. His collar kind of comes up, but his head's kind of hiding it, so I don't know if you'll see that totally. He's kind of got a little, almost like a priest collar that kind of comes down where it comes down and it kind of arches, but most of that looks like it's going to be hidden by his chin. Yeah, I can't really comment on what's going on with Miskris because, like I said, I don't know. I know they don't have as big of a staff as they used to, but I have seen, like I said, I have seen some new Miskrit characters that Chris is working on. So I don't know if now they're doing just main like holidays and stuff like that. Not sure. Oh, good thing I checked. He has sideburns. I didn't draw sideburns on. Just want to make sure everything looks good before I start putting the ink down, because once you do that, you can't really fix it unless you go over it with like white ink. Okay. Oh, here's another thing I didn't see. His pants kind of only come up just below his knees, and then he's got, which here, this leg here is fine because that's all you see, but right here, it's a little different. All right. Anything else that I'm missing detail-wise? He's a fun character to draw. Oh, are you talking about Bolin or somebody else? Or a Miskrit? Okay. Let's see. And maybe I'm just gonna, you can't see this, but what I'm doing right now is kind of drawing in the background, kind of some dust just kind of popping up. Because obviously, if you're busting through rocks or throwing earth around, it's going to bring up some dust. And it's always cool to have a little effect like that. All right. Oh, I see. Let me look here. Looks like Pabu has a couple, his like arms are darker, it looks like. Let's see where that, okay. Although this won't be in color, unfortunately. But I like, personally, I like black and white. If I'm looking at artwork, a lot of times, original artwork, I like to see black and white. Yeah, with the Miskrits, I did the first Dark Miskrit. I did, what was the first one? I'm trying to remember. Uh, I forgot what it was. Sorry. Sorry about the chat. Hopefully I can figure this stuff out. All right. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start inking. So I got my Pentel pocket brush. Um, oh, I wanted to share something with you guys. I don't know if you've ever used this. This is a really cool tool. But one thing that it just occurred to me, and I'm sure other people have already figured this out, but it was one of those moments where you're like, why didn't I think of that before? But just for future reference, if any of you guys start drawing with these things, let me show you what it kind of looks like here. It's basically kind of got like a brush tip, and it's actually got like little bristles in it, like it's kind of a synthetic brush. I mean, some brush pens are just, they're shaped like a brush, but they're more like a felt. This actually has little bristles, which makes, in my opinion, makes it a little lot better than a lot of the brush pens out there. But let me unscrew this real quick. They have these cartridges in here, and I'll show you. They come in packs like refills. Like you can get a pack. I think this is around $3 or $4 for a refill of 2 of these, or like for like $20 you can get a refill of like, I don't know if it was 6 or 8. But I just realized that once these go down, you can take this out and you can just refill it with your regular like Black Magic ink, and you can save a lot of money that way. So just like I said, that's probably something that most people already knew, but it's something I just discovered because I was like, oh, I'm running out of ink fast. Am I gonna have to go buy new cartridges? And I guess it just occurred to me. So anyway, just a little fun fact. All right. So when I start inking, there's not really a right place to start. I mean, usually when I start drawing, I'll probably start with the head. But with inking, just so you don't smudge, I usually try to start to the left and kind of move down for the most part. And I might move it around a little, but so I'm going to start like right here. And sometimes you can turn things around because when you're inking, sometimes it's better to pull towards you than to move away. You have a little more control. So finally, you guys get to see something going on instead of having to use your imagination to try to figure out what I'm drawing in blue. Yeah, I basically, I don't know if I would say I'm totally self-taught. I mean, I did take a lot of college classes, but I just took like basically community college classes, and art school classes and stuff online because art school is just so expensive, and I just don't think for what the amount of money most artists get paid, it's worth spending that kind of money on an art education when you can get just as good an education by more unconventional means, I guess, online classes and just videos on YouTube, and just having a passion for art. If you have a passion for art, you'll just like you guys. I mean, you're sitting here watching this stuff. Um, that's a way to learn, And what's cool with the internet, I mean, you can get in touch with a lot of times with Twitter and stuff, you can get in touch with some of the artists that you follow and stuff like that. It's just nowadays, I mean, there's a lot of resources at your disposal that maybe I didn't have before the internet was as popular. There's this little curl. But I recommend, taking whatever classes you can, you know, at a community college level, and then, or whoever else is offering art classes. But, if you've got money to kind of throw away, or you're super rich, then yeah, by all means go to art school, because it's not that you're not gonna get an awesome education, which you are. It's just, eh, you know, you're probably going to be in debt for most of your life. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. Art school is just so expensive. I don't really understand why. I mean, because I've never been really turned down for a job because I didn't have like a degree from an art school. And that's just my opinion. I'm sure there's other people that have different opinions, and you know, everyone's welcome to their own opinion. It's for everyone to make their own decision, how they want to, pursue art. I'm going to come back to his eyes later because um, the brush pen doesn't work that great for drawing like tiny circles like that. So I'll probably go back in with like a micron or something. I'm starting to get quiet again because I'm concentrating. I don't want to mess this up. But if you guys have questions, let me know. I keep looking up every once in a while to see. Let's see. I like drawing all the folds and the clothes. It takes a little getting used to, and paying attention to how clothes fold around the body and things and how they bunch up. But and I'm still not the best at it, but it's something I like learning and working on. Let's get this. And again, you see how I'm kind of rotating my canvas a little bit, pulling towards me. Just gives you a little more control rather than trying to push the ink away from you. And I don't know if his those things are probably a little long, but it has a good effect. Boom, punch. Actually, his hand looks a little smaller there because the way the camera's tilted, but it's actually, it's a little bit bigger. So usually ignore folds. Yeah, that's something you don't want to get too concerned with until you've, mastered a lot of other things, I guess. The trick to that is always draw superheroes because they wear skin tight uniforms. Then you don't have to draw the folds. But the one thing I'll tell you, and pretty much everyone else will tell you the same thing, you kind of got to learn to draw everything. Now I'm drawing in some of these rocks. My my screen went black again. It's funny. I'm sure you guys can still see it. I'm sure the camera's still working, but once my screen falls asleep because I'm not using it, then it seems like you guys can't see me, but you probably still can. I'll have another smaller rock on top. So this is going to be like a smaller rock that's above the larger one. I don't know if that'll come across or not, but yeah, that's awesome. Just draw along. You can draw along with me. That's why if I can get, if I get interest in maybe if I do like a Google Hangout, I can invite some of you guys maybe to draw along with me if you guys got a webcam. But I have to see. I still don't know what this will become. This is the first time I've kind of done my own art cast, and I don't know if anyone's really that interested or what, but it's kind of cool for me to be able to draw, and it's like I'm not off in my own little cave. There's actually people kind of drawing along or watching along with me, although it's you kind of gotta I'm still trying to get over the nervousness of drawing while people are paying attention, and try to think of things to say, because obviously when you're drawing by yourself you don't feel the need you have to entertain anyone or anything. But cool. Yeah, different, like, different people might have different computers or different you know whatever. So some people it might come through clear, for some people might not. I just don't know what the best setting is to set the camera at, because even my computer, I set it to like the best quality, and gave me an error message saying that it wasn't going to work with my computer, and I thought my computer was pretty good, but Maybe I was wrong. Yeah, I know. Yeah. If I could do it earlier, I would, but I've got a day job during the day, so I apologize. And maybe maybe I can do one on a weekend or something. I don't know. I usually have my kids on the weekends, and I know if I try to broadcast with them in, they'd chime in and they'd start, you know, taking over my taking over. So, um, and it's possible I might be able to do a quick one before I go to work. Early in the morning, which might be better for you. It might be afternoon. I don't know, but everyone's kind of got a different schedule. So, I, as much as I'd like to, it's hard to please everyone. But ideally, I mean, if I could, I would do it around the same time as we did the broken bulb ones. But I just, I'm at work during those hours. So, mother of rocks, 10 hours apart. Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry. That shows dedication though that you're willing to be here at 4 a.m. Well, the next one is for you, so hopefully you can make that one, and then I won't be upset if you can't make the other ones. But you got to see your own Apollo Knox get drawn. This is like what I was talking about before. This is just a little dust. I'm doing these real thin because I don't want it to be a major part of the illustration. Just more for effect. All right, last but not least, and it's not the rest of it's not done yet, but as far as the kind of the first pass, I'm gonna have to look back at my reference for him. Okay. See, I was gonna put his hair kind of coming up, but his fur is actually around his head. It's actually pretty straight. He's got little tufts in his ears. Oh, this little guy. All right. He's got a lot of color on his face. So his eyes, as I mentioned, I'll probably do with a different pen. Then he's got darker shades around his eyes, and then he's got a lighter shade here. This is why I decided to make make this drawing bigger than the 5x7 because I would never be able to get this kind of detail. I could, but it would be difficult. Let's see. Little tiny nose. You'll have to post your drawing so I can see it. You can post it if you want to post it on my Facebook page. I'll take a look at it. All right. thing about ferrets is they're so long. They really got a kind of a cool look to them. You can kind of stretch their body out and everything. What are you going to use to color it? Your drawing. You going to do it digitally? All right, the rings. His tail. All right. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. I got to go find my other pins so I can do the eyes and stuff. All right. Okay, so these are what I usually use, and you can use like micron pens or whatever. These are what most people use when they do like manga style artwork. So everyone's probably familiar with these. And I'm gonna pull up my reference again so I can see kind of what his eyes look like. Hold on. Got a little highlight there. Hopefully you can kind of see that. It looks weird because the angle it's at. His hand is in the picture you guys are looking at. His hand, this hand looks real small compared to that one, but it's actually bigger because this hand's in the foreground, so it should appear larger. But because of this weird angle, this camera is kind of funky, but I assure you the perspective looks better than it does on the camera. So, all right. And looks like he's got kind of little beady black eyes with maybe a little white highlight in it. And it looks like his nose is pretty much black, so I'll go ahead and fill that in. All right. Now to go in and add all the detail and everything. And I'm thinking, I drew these lines in his hair, but he's got pretty dark hair, so I think I'm just going to fill it in. I think I'm going to fill it in black, but first I'm going to go ahead and do a little more outlines around this. And I just broke my rule of drawing towards me instead of away from me. Uh-oh. My dog's probably going to start growling here. Every time it gets around 7 o'clock, he thinks it's time for me to eat, but I already ate, so I don't know. He's going to start growling probably. Which is weird because I don't eat at the same time every night, but he always thinks around 7 that I'm supposed to be doing something, eating or something. I don't know. Hoping that he's going to get some of it, which he usually doesn't, so I don't know why he cares. The creature, it's a fire ferret. Yeah, it's from the Legend of Korra, which is also based on the Avatar: The Last Airbender, and that's kind of his pet. But I don't know if the ferret actually has. I don't think he has any elemental powers like fire or anything, but he's just called a fire ferret. I don't. It's been a while since I've seen the series, so I'm trying to remember. But in the Avatar series, there's four different nations, and they all have different abilities to bend different elements. So Bolin here is an earthbender, so he can kind of control the earth and make rocks fly and tremors and stuff like that. And then there's firebenders and airbenders and waterbenders. The unusual thing is his brother in the cartoon is a firebender. I think he's firebender. Yeah, which like if you saw the original series of the waterbenders, they were all like a tribe. So like all the most of them were related, but they all bent water. But him and his brother have different can bend different elements, which is kind of new to me when I first saw this. Your cat starts meowing at 6 a.m. Yeah, I know the feeling. At least, yeah, I guess I'm lucky that it's not early like that. Actually, quite a bit changed from the new series. It actually takes place further in the future, where there's like an industrial revolution where now they have cars and things like that, and it's kind of almost like a steampunk style, um, turn of the century thing. It's really cool. It's cool because they didn't try to just remake what they already did. They totally changed it around, and the animation is just the new series. The animation is just crazy. It's so good. You don't see usually television animation that looks that nice. See, I've got an error saying my computer internet connection cannot handle your current quality setting. Please reduce your setting. All right. I'm gonna, I guess I should do that. So the quality might not look as good. I'll turn it down a little bit and see if